Monty Python and the Holy Grail from 1975. So this movie was directed by Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones, which are two members of the Monty Python comedy troupe, and it stars the rest of the Monty Python comedy troupe. The logline on IMDb is King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table embark on a surreal, low-budget search for the Holy Grail, encountering many very silly obstacles. So this movie for me was an easy number one. This impacted my sense of humor more than really anything else, definitely any other movie. Got me into absurd, wry, witty humor, very dialogue driven humor, very subversive as well. And I am a huge fan of British humor, and it can be traced back to my love of this film. Like now, most of my favorite TV shows that are comedies are all out of the UK. A lot of my favorite movies, comedic movies, all come from also the UK. This movie got me into Monty Python and a lot of other, older British comedy shows. And for some reason, I've always been identified with that type of humor, and in a much of the way that I just described it in terms of what British humor is. So it can be silly and dumb, but also there's that layer of smartness and commentary. The other thing I love about this film too is how it's also like making fun of the film itself. There's like this meta commentary on it. The opening credit sequence, they're playing the credits and then they have subtitles, Swedish subtitles, and then they apologize for that. And they're, oh, we fired the people who made the subtitles. We fired the people that did the credits. It's like there's this meta commentary going on throughout the entire film. And even at the end, the movie ends because the cast gets arrested for one of the cast members killing somebody else on screen. So it's that very irreverent, kind of like fourth wall breaking experience is a humor that now I also really like in terms of how meta it is. And, Monty Python has influence over so many different types of, different shows and movies. And I've grown to love those shows that are very influenced by them, like a South Park, Rick and Morty, Mitchell and Webb Look. Like there's all these shows that I like that they're all point to Monty Python as their heroes. And I think that's also then now why, this movie to me was the one that kind of got me on that path. So yeah, I mean, much like UHF too, there was definitely it's a very quotable movie. So there was a cachet in high school and junior high about the people that could quote Monty Python and know Monty Python. And yeah, there's also kind of a bit of like a clickiness and a snootiness about that too. Like, oh, you're not into Python. And yeah, I'll admit I was one of those people. But that cult humor too, much like UHF, that was a big part of my kind of gravitating towards that type of humor. And this movie was, like I said, a big part of that. So I watched it again for this part. I hadn't seen it in a very long time because I haven't been watching comedies very often. But another movie that the second I put it on, I just watched it 3 more times because I'm like, I'm laughing. I can't stop laughing at this. And it's still funny to me in the same way it was back when I first saw it when I was, probably 12, 13, was exposed to this just on TV, and then friends just coin it all the time. So I'm like, I should probably watch what this is. And I still find it funny today. So yeah, this one had to be the number one for me. If simply just for the British comedy angle, that is how I for sure would define my humor. If I had to put it in a category, it'd definitely be British humor. So had to be number one.
Yeah. I was glad that you put this on the list because I had never watched this movie, and frankly, I have not watched anything on Monty
Python. Yeah.
So clearly, I would not be a part of your
clique. Yeah.
I'll be like, thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can go off with the cool kids, and we're like the nerds in the corner quoting Monty Python. Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, I think you were a better man than I was in at least sitting through the birdcage. I could only watch 15 minutes of this movie.
15 minutes?
That's all.
Really?
Maybe I need to get back to it on a different day.
Yeah.
Because I love British movies and I definitely associate myself with that kind of humor. But I think there's another layer of silliness and maybe the medieval setting, which is also not my thing at all. There's something about those costumes that maybe that's why I've never watched this movie, because I must have seen posters. I'm like, oh, hell no, never watching this, or maybe in 20 years. So I don't know. This was too silly for me. And maybe again, it's sort of, at what point in your life are you getting to this? Maybe
that
if
could
I'd
be it.
gotten
Yeah.
to this, earlier in my life and sort of grown up with it, probably this would have stayed with me and I would have just seen more and more layers, like you're saying. But now it's sort of, I'm only meeting this movie at a surface, and that's just too silly for me. Or maybe I just watched it on a bad day. Who knows?
Or watched only 15 minutes of it. But
or that
but
I
yeah.
should have moved past it. Just
Yeah.
didn't have the courage
No, it's
to go further.
Yeah. No, I mean, I suffered through the birdcage. So
I know.
I think that movie, I was depressed for about 3 to 4 days after watching that. It was that hard of a slog for me. Like a piece of my soul got taken away after watching that. So yeah, you can get through Monty Python. It's like 90 minutes. But had you not seen, so you haven't seen like Life of Brian or any of the show at all?
No.
Any of the skits?
No.
Just on YouTube or something? Oh, interesting.
Never seen anything of theirs.
Were they not popular like in India? I just was surprised just with a lot of the British influence that this wouldn't be something that was like floating around a lot. How interesting.
Maybe it was, but somehow it never entered my home. Like, there's definitely Mr. Bean and,
oh yeah,
a lot of that sort of stuff that was in my household, but for whatever reason, not this. So I don't know, I guess blame it on my parents, why this was not in my house. But yeah, I don't know. It's just too silly for me.
Interesting. Well, like we said at the beginning of the episode, humor is a very subjective thing. And I think we definitely found our, the point of, the definite, that encapsulates it so much just in our first two or both of our number ones. It definitely, like, it's a perfect encapsulation of that.
Yeah, because there's more overlap that we had in our, 3s and 2s,
right,
versus our number ones are definitely, polar opposite. And I also think there's subjectivity to humor, but humor also is all about, like you said, you have not watched a funny movie in a while because you just haven't been in the headspace. I think there's a lot of that at play here as well, where humor can land on you in weird ways if you're not in the right headspace.
That's true.
So I don't know, maybe on a different day, the Birdcage or Monty Python land differently, or how, maybe not the Birdcage.
Not the Birdcage. I don't think I can stomach that movie again.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not planning on watching Monty Python in anytime soon either. Yeah. But I do want to give Monty Python another shot though at some later point, because they're iconic, and a lot of the stuff that I love that came out of that country, I know it sort of owes it to this. So for that reason alone, I feel like I should give it another shot. So yeah,
maybe Life of Brian is a better one for you to swallow, which many think is a better film. Okay. But I saw Grail first and actually find it funnier, even though Life of Brian is saying a lot more important things just about religion, society. It's definitely more of a message movie than this one.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.